women to demand. That was the call to action. It's no longer about the conversations, the pleasantries, but it is time to make the demand. Wow, we were reminded once again that it is time for us to come together as a collective. So that we can speak with one voice and call to action. Actions speak louder than words. Deeds, not words. So, without further ado, we'll welcome you to day 9 of the 16 days of activism. 16 days of activism. And today is day 9. And there's something about day 9 that is special today. It's where we're looking at family life and beyond. But in our midst today, we have 3 young women who are daughters in their own right, mothers, entrepreneurs, leaders in the corporate world. And they will share with us their thoughts with none other than Charmaine Prince, my sister, moderating this conversation. But to start it all off, we will have Hatsuki Murata out of California share her story about facing the storm and how she conquered and how she overcame and how she was elevated by her experience and later becomes an advocate and an author who says in a messaging of hope to women and girls that despite the storms you face of gender-based violence at the hands of the perpetrators, there is hope. And you will come back a victor. So if you missed yesterday, that's what we were talking about. And even more. So I will hand you over to my sister Shamim or Blair to just give an insight from day 1 to leading us to day 9. Because there are others that are joining us for the first time. We welcome you.
Blair, are you there?
I am. I'm just doing some housekeeping on the back end. Could you go ahead, please?
Okay. Hi, everyone. Welcome to day 9. Welcome to all you, the first-time participants. I want to say that the 16 days of activism is a 16-day or a 16-course meal. So if you missed the last 8 days, you've missed 8 courses of the 16 courses of the meal. So I'll catch you up on day 1. I'll just give you parts of the call to actions that came out from the different days. Day 1, the call to action was for us to arise. The call of action on day 2 is for us to wake up as women. On day 3, we were given the encouragement and the the inspiration to forgive and let go. And then those 3 days included the girl voices. We had the candid conversation with couples, and out of that came so many nuggets that we received. And we had the apology yesterday that came out of the candid conversations. We've had the victim to victor. Yesterday we had the resilience, on my feet again. And here we are today. I am so excited, and I know you are too. So with that excitement, I am going to hand it over to Blair so that we can get into today's agenda. Blair, over to you.
Well, good morning, everyone. Good afternoon, everyone. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to day 9 of 16 days of activism against gender-based violence. Just a couple housekeeping. If you have your mics on and you're not speaking, could you turn them off, please? It will help to reduce feedback. If you have more than one devices, because sometimes you do, and you're listening in on both, if you could turn the volume off on the second device, that would help as well. So I'm excited about today's discussion. We have some wonderful ladies, Tam, we've got Hatsuki, we've got Rahana, Sharon, we've got Gertrude. There are a couple of you who don't have your I guess your visual on your video, so we can't see your faces. However, Canada's virtuous woman is in the room, and Marcia, welcome. I can't see the second person, Denicia. Thank you so much for being here. We do ask that you share with your friends and families. We're streaming live on Women in Bloom Edmonton, so that's on Facebook at Women in Bloom, all spelled out, Edmonton, and go ahead and share, and your friends and families will join in. If you have any questions at any point during the conversation, just put your questions in the chat. We will monitor the chat, and we will ask the questions on your behalf. So again, welcome. I heard that Charmin is going to be our moderator, and she looks so pretty in her green and gold and orange, burnt orange, as we are oranging the world. I don't have orange on, and I'm sorry for that. Welcome again, ladies. Thank you so much for being a part of this very important discussion. We hope that after this, number one, we will continue, but number two, that we will come together. You were talking about that, Tamara and Tam, and it's so important. The united voices will make a difference. If I go in as myself, now, if we go in as many, we will make a difference. So again, welcome. Charmin, the floor is yours.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, Blair. I am going to hand it over to Hatsuki so that she can share Facing the Storm with us. Hatsuki? You're muted.
Okay. Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good night. This is amazing how so many ladies from different areas are getting together. And thank you so much for this opportunity. A lot of the things I'm going to share with you is something that I normally do not share with, because for a long time I felt shame, guilt, and I didn't want to talk about this. But to start, let me share this little poem I wrote not that long ago. It's called Renewing Hope to Abusive First Love. I put many mirrors on our place just for you and me, so I know how I look when I look back at you. This way, no matter what you say, I will look kind and loving to you. I choose best sweet voice for your ears, only to avoid that strike of your anger. I will give you my love, my body, my everything, just so you will be happy with me and love me. Happy and loved. I did not walk away from you. Your angry strike put me away and shut our door. From all my tears over the years, drifted me away to a new me. And I want to, and I won't return to you anymore. I thought the loneliness will consume me, but I didn't realize that this quietness was what I needed. How how did I thought that was real love? Or as I believe that I can create real love. I did not even know how to love myself. So how can I love anyone else? My baby, I'm sorry. I will be strong, but please know this. I did not walk away. It was your angry strike that separated us from happy and love. I feel my heart being ripped out apart. This hurts more than all the angry strike on my cheek. From all the tears over the years, I know what this means. I will not return to you anymore. I was in first marriage, in a young marriage. It was fine to start with, but it turned into abusive relationship. I had 3 children with him. My goal was to try to keep his marriage together. Not only that, when I was born in Japan, and this one I usually do not share with too many people, but when I was about 5 years old or so, I was molested in Japan at the park, bright daylight. And I ran, and I think I told my uncle, but in Japan, these things happen. There are sex trafficking, children being abused, beaten to death, or being used for sex. It's there in Japan too. But in Japan, especially when it happens, in my age back then, things like this happens, you don't say anything. You don't talk about it. You're already damaged. That it's better that not too many people know, because you'll probably never have a perfect husband because you've been touched and damaged. Those thoughts really stayed in my mind. There was no counselor or anything available at that time. But growing up in the elementary, I try to pretend like nothing happened to me, try to fit in with the other girls, giggling and laughing. I couldn't. The pain was there. I couldn't act like a normal little kid. My innocence and childhood was stolen from that day. And I don't know if that led me to this relationship on the first marriage. That he will start slowly, little slap here and there, but he never really hit me hard enough to leave a mark. Mostly he threatened me that if I decide to leave with the child, that he will hunt me down and kill me. Now, if he couldn't find me, my parents had a restaurant, small little restaurant, they worked so hard on it, that he will drive his car through the restaurant and trying to beat my families until they will tell him where I'm at. So I felt like it was better that I just take his English strikes. So my parents, my brother and sister will be safe. He never really hit me really hard, so something I could take. Every time we got into an argument, because he had a rifle, he will point that out to me. He will laugh and say, "There's no bullets in there," but how do I know? Every time I seen that rifle pointing at me, I thought that was the last day of my life. Much as I thought about, needed to make this better, it wasn't going that way. He was not really good with keeping the job, so I have to work. I have to bring the money. I have to buy the diapers and formula. I have to feed him. So most of the time I had one meal a day and went back to work. So physically I felt weak too. Didn't know what to do. I'm sleeping right next to him, crying quietly so I won't wake him up because I just felt miserable. It was also tell me that I will amount to nothing. So he made me feel like this small. I was a server, waitress. Like the way he described it is the lowest job that anybody can do. I didn't really go through educations, and if I call the police that he hit me, because he will hit me without leaving the mark, that the police will think I'm crazy. So they will either take me to mental hospital or deport me back to Japan, and I'll never see my children again. So I never called. And then I couldn't even tell my father about what's going on because I thought my father will get beaten up by him. Somehow, when I was carrying the third baby, he found somebody else. Much as I wanted to get out, that really hurt me. Not only I've been beaten, felt like a little, like almost nothing, and now he finds somebody else, and I'm carrying his baby. There was a point I wanted to just disappear in thin air and try to commit suicide. But the baby I'm carrying was about 6 months pregnancy. She kicked my stomach. And I say, you know what, I'm sorry. I will not kill myself. I will do everything to bring you out to this world and do everything I can to be there with you. Well, during the divorce, he was also making a big deal about the children. My mom was also having really bad with her diabetes, that she needed help. My father just passed away and lost the restaurant. Whole thing was just falling apart. And I didn't want it to, but I was so afraid of him that I let him have the physical custody of the children. And I became a weekend mom. That was so hard for about like 6 years of being a weekend mom. Hearing what they go through when they get punished by stepmom. I'm pretty sure, she had a son. So, you will like your own child more than the other, but I feel ashamed for being a weekend mom. I didn't even know what my children was eating, what kind of TV they're watching. I didn't even know what to get for their Christmas. I didn't even know the size of their clothes. But from there, I was able to made it through. I didn't tell my children what was going on, what happened. I thought one day they will be old enough where I can talk to them when they want to hear and let them make their decisions. Now, all three of my children loves me, and they will come in, and it's great. But from being a server, I also wanted to be more than that, so I tried to open my small Japanese restaurant. Only lasted for 3 years of working every day, 12 hours, no days off. I had a lot of great experience, but first time business owner, I failed. Now that's how I felt, but I talked to a lot of the other people. It says, you know, to become a success, you do fail. Everybody does. Well, I used all my saved tip money to do that business, and then I didn't have any more. So I did get a job as another restaurant as a head server slash assistant manager for a little while, and I decided to write a book. Never wrote a book, and plus I came here in the United States with not knowing any language of English. I didn't think I could write a book, but I did. Decided it's gonna be almost done and be available in Amazon finally. But it's called Facing the Storm with Kokoro. Kokoro is your heart in Japanese language. And I wanted to show you this real quick. That the book cover is gonna be look like this, and I drew this. I actually gave up my drawing when I went into a marriage because I didn't think I had time to. Now I'm back drawing again. And I also drew this. I've picked few of the one I like. A girl smiling, looking at the snowflake. This actually means a God looking at us, how happy we are, and then also see all this beauty. But I also like to think all the snowflake in a different size, different shapes, they're all pretty and unique, are us. We are unique, beautiful, and joyful. That's how God designed us. This one is just a nice, pretty girl. I just wanted all the girls to be treated like princess or queen, fragile, beautiful, innocent, and kind, and be protected by the right man is what I like the girls to be. This one is dancing on the water, which means we shouldn't be under the water trying to gasp for air. We should be dancing on the water and achieving any dreams and take every joy and happiness by on the water, not under that troubled water. And this is Jesus kind of trying to give thanks to God. But you know how crazy this world is? It's almost like upside down, isn't it? There's a reflection of Jesus' face. So most of the drawing, I do have meaning to it. And then each chapter of my book will have some of the different drawing. It's going to be black and white. So ladies, all the girls can color. I'm also going to be doing some pre-lunch book Zoom meeting next week. If anybody interested, I'll try to put some information later on. But from being beaten and treated like a trash was more treasure than myself. Took a long years being patient to get to where I am, where I can share the story that I was so ashamed of. Now I don't look at it that way anymore. I just look at it from the hard time that I went through. I was able to make it through. I know there's some other ladies, girls out there. I was hoping this book doesn't really say anything about the abusive or anything, but attracts the girls who will read it, and inside has a lot of encouragement through my story, what I did, how I made it through. Don't give up. And then I also want the abusive husband or boyfriend to pick this up and give it to his girlfriend, thinking that, you know, a little gift, but what's inside in the secret is telling girls to be who you are, be strong, and keep going. So that's where I am today. And for purchasing this book, it'll actually go to my second book, because about almost 2 years ago, I was diagnosed with stage 4 breast cancer. The doctor told me probably 1 to 5 years to live. No surgery, no chemo, because he said it's too late. Just a medication to prolong my life. But you know, as long as I'm here, that's when I realized I could share anything to make a change in this world, to make it better. I'm not gonna hide anymore. With the every day that I have, I am like to go and trying to help others. So by the book, I may reach somebody that I don't know how to reach to encourage them. And then I will be writing a second book called Fight with Smile, about how we can help when somebody in your family member has a cancer. And cancer patients, what can we do? And then I'll be sharing the journeys of my cancer in the second book to motivate those also. Thank you for listening to my story.
Wow, wow, wow. I think we just have to open our mics and just give her a hand of applause, because when we talk resilience and strength, just fighting the odds, right there, we just hats off to you, Hatsuki, and we appreciate you. We are in this together, and thank you for answering to that call to come and share your story, because there's power in our stories. Because I know there's one woman out there and one girl who needed to hear this morning, so that they too can take a step. They too can find their voice. They too can find their light and be able to soar like eagles right above the storms, and be able to bloom and later give hope to one girl, one woman at a time. So thank you for allowing us in your space to share your journey. Thank you for being vulnerable with us. We appreciate you. Like we always do, it's always in this fashion that I take the honor of introducing the moderator. She's not new to me or Blair or Tam or the other ladies that have met her, but she's new to others. And I would take this I'm going to do something different, because I believe collectively with Blair, we are going to introduce Shaman. And I'd like to take off and say, who is Shaman Prince? Some of you are wondering. And I'll start by using words that describe this amazing woman who is a sister from another mother for me. When I first met Shaman last year in Vegas, that's when our journey started. I remember her walking in this bold red and white dress. And she was bald-headed, short hair, and with her glasses. But she exuded so much strength. It's like the room was hers when she walked in. And I remember I was emceeing that day, and I said hello to my sister over there. But I became the little sister to Shaman, who is always bothering a big sister, because evidently she did not want to be bothered. She wanted to deliver what she had come for. Fast forward, when she took the stage, I was right when she had walked in the room. She commanded the audience to sit back and listen. And she shared her story. That was not the end for me. I was like, when I came back to Edmonton, and Blair and I were working on her story. And I came back and I said, Blair, you need to call Charmaine Prince. She has to be part of her story. She is a gift that we have to share with the world. True. Blair trusted me on that. And she made the call. And Charmaine answered. So when we talk of resilience, when we talk of facing the storm, when we talk of curveballs being thrown at one woman, being able to go through it all and face them bravely, when we talk of turning lemons and making lemonade, oh, the name Charmaine comes to mind. When we talk of a sister that is there to elevate other women and make them be the best that they're supposed to be, the name Charmaine Prince comes to mind. When we talk about being there for women emancipation, the name Charmaine is not new to the discussions. When we talk about women going through the journey of self-discovery, Blair, I'll let you take it away. Charmaine Prince is
Stately. That's the one word, stately. She's also, as you say, very resilient, but I love her candidness. She is straightforward, to the point. What you see, you remember back in the days when the computers first came out and we had the acronym WYSIWYG, what you see is what you get. Charmaine Prince, what you see is what you get. She's honest. She's just to the point. And that's what we need, authentic women like her. She's also very caring, very giving. And I just love her. I have not met her like you have in person, but on the phone, and I tell you, we've just connected. We finish each other's sentences, as I do with you, Maria, and you with me. But she's just kind of molded right in there with us. And we love you. We appreciate you. We appreciate, I'm looking straight at your camera, so that's why I'm looking at you. We appreciate you and what you do for Eagles Bloom Hope. You come with a lot of energy, and that is wonderful. So Charmaine, the floor is yours. Take it away, Ms. Moderator. Welcome.
Well, thank you. What an introduction. Thank you, guys. But the focus is on the panel today. We have a well-decorated panel in Sharon Njobo and Rihanna Malik Mbanga. We are still waiting for Joy Jihanna to join us, but let me introduce you to Sharon Njobo. Sharon is a successful strategy leader who built a rewarding career, leading international health projects in different countries across Africa, Asia, and Latin America. As a senior reporter traveling from Zimbabwe to cover the United States General Assembly, the Democratic of Republic Congo peace negotiations, and other critical national economic missions, she led Canada's fourth largest global maternal, newborn, and child health project, a $26 million initiative in Canada, Cambodia, the Philippines, and Rwanda. This is just a snippet, not even a summary of who Sharon Njobo is. And I am impressed, and I want you to join me in welcoming Sharon to the panel. Sharon, thank you for agreeing to be here. Just give Sharon a warm welcome. Our second panelist is Rihanna Malik Mbanga. And Rihanna is a social entrepreneur, with a diverse cultural background, fondly called her Mosaic. I have to pronounce that properly for you to hear. Rihanna spends her days building her businesses like Steamboat Corporation that has earned her serious air miles and a reputation of debating gender equality in male-dominated boardrooms. Rihanna is included in 2 blogs, with one with her sister and the other one embracing the plus size me. And that's also a summary of Rihanna's bio. Rihanna and Joy, welcome to the ninth day of the 16 days of activism. And my first question is for Sharon. Sharon, what are some strategies that might work to heighten the awareness of GBV globally? Because I love your pedigree and where you've been and what you have done. I wish that I could have read everything, because the summary, the sentences that I took out of your bio does not give you justice. But I know with this question, you can expand on your expertise and share with us what we can do to heighten the awareness of gender-based violence globally. Over to you, Sharon.
Thank you so much. What an honor to be here with you this morning. Thank you, Maria and Charmin. And I just want to acknowledge Hatsuki and thank her for sharing her story. I'm deeply honored to be in this space with you this morning. And I'm going to be sharing mostly from the international development perspective, because that's where I was born and raised, and that's where I spend my 8 to 5. And you asked me about the strategies. I don't think I have the strategies really. What we have learned over the course of the 9 days, which you shared briefly, it's about voice. It's about voice and believing the voice when we hear it. Many times when we talk about GBV, or when people come forward and they share their stories, we tend to try to find the why. Why did this person perpetrate the violence? Why? What did you do? So we try to move it from the perpetrator and put it on the victim. So what the first strategy I would say is, there are a lot of platforms right now, but people are coming forward. It is how we respond to the voice when it is expressed. The most important strategy I would say is to believe the people when they come forward and not subject them to an interrogation and trying to find the why. We have a number of platforms. Maria, you touched on it, that it's been years of dealing with this pandemic and there's no vaccine. Just saying, I hear you. But more importantly, I believe you, because once you believe, then your response is that it becomes a positive one. You then make yourself available to move forward with that particular person. So allow me to stop here for now.
So thank you so much, Sharon. Rihanna, welcome. How do you use your influence? Because I read your bio and I picked you on LinkedIn. How do you use your influence to contribute to GBV?
Thank you so much for having me. It's an honor to be here this morning. The panel's amazing, amazing, beautiful women. It just really, really blesses my heart. Hatsiku, thank you so much for sharing that story. It's a story I recognize personally. Being a child, my mother was you. So it's really wonderful that you were able to share this and remind us of the realness of what we have and what we face daily. I try my best to use my influence by being an example, by being a woman that is strong. I speak up when I see something that I do not think is right. I challenge men, I challenge women who conform, and I encourage and I push others to try and be more and push for more and demand more.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you for that. I'm gonna go back to Sharon. Sharon, traveling to so many countries and interacting with those vulnerable populations, with the exposure that you have, how would you define GBV?
It sounds like an easy question, but it's not. From my travels, from my experiences, sadly, what I can confirm, I think this is something that is known to all of us, is the universality of GBV, that it cuts across countries, developed countries, developing countries, within countries, the rich and the poor. It's non-discriminatory, it knows no class. And so that's the sad part of GBV, is that it is universal. And my definition, working particularly, coming now from an international development context, one of the factors with GBV is how it is robbing us as women. It is robbing entire countries of the potential to develop, because we have a significant proportion of the population who are not able to participate meaningfully and safely in development discourse, because they're either locked up behind their homes or they are not able to share their experiences or to speak and provide input. And then also they're not able to benefit from development. It could be a child who is married and now has to seek the permission of her husband, or even a mother-in-law, for her to attend a prenatal clinic. So when we have the facilities in a far and remote village, but because of GBV, women are not able to access the services that exist. So my experience and my definition is that GBV, it's those things, whether they are cultural, physical abuse, emotional abuse, financial abuse, that hinder women from participating and benefiting from development.
Thank you, Sharon. Can I ask a follow-up question? What can we do to help those women and girls?
I'm going to sound like a scratched record. We have to believe that GBV exists.
Mm.
The GBV they're experiencing may look different to the one that we see here in Canada. But we find that we start to question and say, why are they having so many children? Therefore, they deserve the poverty that they live in. So we become blind to the fact that these are women or young women who have lost or are not able to actualize the agency or the power to make decisions over their own bodies, how many children they want to have, when they want to have their children, and how to space. So again, we have to believe women and their stories of GBV because their stories are different. GBV manifests differently for different women.
Thank you for that. And you just added to the definition. Thank you so much. Rihanna, I see you shaking your head and I can just hear the words coming out of your head. Take the floor.
You know, Sharon hit the nail on the head. For me, I've always defined gender-based violence as violence to self. We women raise our sons. I have 2 sons that I'm raising. But in culture, we perpetuate the violence. We encourage our sons to be these men. We encourage them to take force and take action. I've seen elder women encourage their sons to beat their wives. I've seen them encourage their sons to, you know, be the man. And the definition is you know, in their minds is very, very warped. And the reason is there's violence to self. And Sharon really hit the nail on the head by saying this violence that we have, this anger we have, the pain we all carry individually that allows us to be these ugly human beings robs us from being more. When I think of myself, I'm a 38-year-old woman. I have a baby who's 1 year old, who you can hear in the background. If I did not have a supportive spouse right now who's helping me, I wouldn't be able to be on this panel right now and to speak. And that's it. For women, we are bound by our nature, by the way we were created to take care and to nurture our children. And the more children we have, the less available we are, the less potential we have. The more dependent we are in a community to others to support us, the less power we have as women, because we rely on others and we depend on them, and then we leverage our power. So in what Sharon had to say about gender-based violence, for me, it boils down to how do we feel individually as a person? How do we feel individually in our self-esteem, in our worth, and how does our partner, and this is both men and women, men equally feel ugly, equally feel they're not worth something, equally have gone through trauma, equally have so much that they're dealing with that makes them these perpetual human beings that hurt and create violence. And I mean, gender-based violence is both ways, but predominantly it's against women. But for me, it boils down to self, the psychology of a human being. How were they brought up? What trauma did they go through? Were there places where they could express themselves? What do they carry and why do they continue to be this person? What in them creates this violent human being that wants to break out and hurt? And for me, that's how I define gender-based violence.
Thank you so much, Rihanna. And you've raised so many points. But one that I want to address, or that I'm going to touch on and ask about, it's primary socialization, because you mentioned that and you mentioned trauma. What role do you think, or what is the role of primary socialization in GBV?
It primarily, socialization is the core of GBV. We as parents, we as a culture teach, and Tam addressed this earlier when she mentioned Max Dashu, and the work and where the point was where we flipped the script. I was very surprised as a Zambian to learn recently from my younger cousin that Zambia has matriarchal tribes. I was taken aback. I didn't believe this because for me, Zambia, I'm Zambian. Zambia was this very patriarchal society. So to learn that we had matriarchal tribes, I was like, oh wow. My first experience and my first exposure of a matriarchal tribe was my friend is from the Ashanti tribe. She's Ghanaian, and she was just explaining to me how children are passed on matriarchal, if I use that right. But that's the core. I will speak personally as a Zambian girl. When I grew up, I was taught how to behave in front of men, in front of elders. I was taught how to behave when I became of age and I started my menses. I was taught how to behave when I got married, and I was socialized into marriage by a group of women. And so in these circles, in these points where I was learning, where I was actively learning to become a girl, to become Rahana the wife, Rahana the mother, if I didn't have good role models or strong women who believed in themselves and had self-esteem and worth, then I would have inherited the wrong information of who I am and what I should be and how I should be around men and women, and what my role is and how I should respond to violence, to anger, to being told I'm less than, and how I value my power as a woman and how I put my power, I leverage it out there into society. So for me, primarily socialization is the core, and it's something we definitely have to work on and address. And it's something my mom worked on with us, and it's something we work on, my husband and I, in our marriage, how we will socialize our children as their roles, as they become Liseli and Mudiwa and Tanaka Mbanga. My son gets to watch his dad sweep, he gets to watch him do laundry, he gets to watch him make food. My son loves to cook. You can come here into my house any day and you'll find my 1-year-old sweeping. He's watching this, he sees this actively. And it is entirely up to me to decide to tell him sweeping is not a man's job. You will wait until you get married and have a woman that will do that for you. She's your slave that will wait on you 24/7. You just lift up a hand because I will do it as your mother for you. Therefore, you inherit that a woman plays this role. And that's just it. So primary socialization is the core.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Sharon. The same question.
I really have nothing to add to what Rihanna has said. So one of the things that you asked is about strategy. What we are doing in international development around that area of socialization is to be intentional with bringing men and adolescents and young men into the conversation. So we call that specific strategy male champions, where we are raising male champions in the community who will be allies or partners of the girls and women in that community. They are trained to understand that women are impacted differently, to just understand the difference between sex and gender, for example. So they have knowledge of, in the example that Rihanna shared about sweeping, is there anything in the physiology of the woman that requires her to be the only one to do this particular task? So we are seeing some movement in that area, particularly when it comes to the younger generation and working with what we call gatekeepers in the community. It's about learned behaviors since childhood. So those take a long time to happen. Yet I'm happy to share that those are conversations that are starting to happen, because one of the things that we learned is we had, rightfully so, I'm unapologetic about that, spent quite a bit of time working with, listening to, and talking to women, and the men didn't understand. And we found that when they went home and they were empowered, the men were even more intimidated, and that created a lot of misunderstanding and trouble in the homes. So in recent years, we are having co-ed groups where they come together, and in other cases where it's still important to provide that space and platform for women. So being intentional with the champions of change, who the males are a big part of those champions. So we are seeing that happening in developing countries. Sadly, we are not seeing that here in Canada. And I'm going to speak now as a Zimbabwean woman, a diaspora woman, where we are seeing my sisters going back to Zimbabwe in a body bag because their husband will not work and will expect the wife coming from a 12-hour shift to come and pick up the broom and start sweeping and cook for him while he's just changing the TV channels. So again, it's that universality where I, as a Zimbabwean woman working in developing countries, living in Canada, and seeing this in the community where there is still a lot of work that has to be done so that our men here in Canada can catch up to the message that is being shared in Zimbabwe, in Zambia, in Ghana, for example.
Thank you, Sharon. Sharon, what are some ways that we can educate our men in the diaspora about GBV? And when I say educate, not the information that is already out there, but culturally sensitive information that would attract them because of their culture, because a lot of GBV has cultural undertones.
The culture does play a big part. And another dimension, particularly for men in diaspora, is the economic aspect, where women here are more financially successful generally than the men are, where they've been socialized to be providers. So any program, I would say, that seeks to bring about that socialization and behavior change has to not only target the cultural piece, but it is also about the economic piece, which then now takes us to that anti-Black racism. Why is it difficult for our sons, our husbands, to find meaningful employment here in Canada? Why is it that now the woman is the one who has to do a double shift daily to provide for the family? Strategies not only have to look at bringing men together to have these endeavors or conversations, but it's also looking at the economic aspect. What incentivization has to take place, because it's really difficult understanding as well the culture. Culture is diverse, I want to acknowledge that, but I'm looking at the stereotype where a man would come and sit here for 2 hours and talk strategy and not do. So it would be like, what's in it for me? Am I going to move away from this conversation maybe with $20 or $50. So the strategies that we come up with have to be strategies that will work, strategies that will be well received, and not have maybe 5 men attend out of a community of 20 or 50 men. Who is leading that conversation? Yeah, I think there is a lot of thinking that has to be done around that. And my reaction, because I haven't had time to process it, is addressing the multiple factors. Culture is one piece, but there are a number of factors that drive this, particularly in the diaspora. And that strategy has to start to develop, because we are losing a lot of lives. We are losing a lot of limbs in the diaspora because of GBV.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. I have a question that I need to ask Rihanna. Rihanna, you said in your bio, embracing the plus size me. Just that phrase tells me a story, tells me of a journey, tells me of a process that you have endured to get there and to boldly embrace that. My question is, how do you package that to impact GBV?
Wow. Magazines, media, the list is endless, has told me that I am a very fat woman. And because I'm fat, I'm not attractive. But when I see myself in the mirror, I see beauty. And I wanted to challenge this as I've grown up, because I watched many women around me feel that they needed to be a certain size to feel worthy. But I felt worthy in whatever size I've been. And I wanted to share this. Being beautiful is more than just our aesthetics. It's about who we are, how far we've come, what we've learned, how we treat others, how we love ourselves. And I was hoping to share this with my platform, and to share this with others. In relation to gender-based violence, it comes back to the same thing. One of the biggest things, one of the most common things I hear from women who have experienced gender-based violence from their partners and from others is an attack on their body. You don't look beautiful, look how ugly you are. Look at your hair, look at your legs, look at your feet, look at, it's endless. And for me, I wanted to challenge this with myself. And I wanted to be this person that others could see, that love themselves, that love whatever size we are. I mean, I've moved from a size 12 to a size 22 in my life. And at each phase, I still show up, and I still look good, and I still dress for my size. And, the list is endless. But I wanted to share this, and I wanted this to be able, and for even both men and women to see that beauty looks different ways. And I think right now in with the younger generations and in the media, you are starting to see these changes, these shifts, these examples. When I first moved to Canada, finding clothes for my size was very hard. But now there's been a huge shift in 10 years. And now you can go and buy plus size clothing in different sizes, in all kinds are made for different women. And this is women speaking out there, all the body shamers, all the, the context of what a woman should look like is challenged. I just, before I wanted to share this, there was a video that was shared, and I'll find the link and I'll share it here, of what a woman in Europe used to, how they used to dress, all the corsets they used to wear, and the bonnets, and you know, the exaggerated hips. It went viral a few weeks ago, and I was like, oh my goodness, that is so much work, just to get dressed up, just so that someone else can tell you you look good as a woman. And I'm so happy we've come a long way as a people, as the world, of what we call beauty and how we challenge beauty.
Thank you, Rihanna. Thank you for that. I am going to ask you to summarize, but in closing, my last question to both you and Sharon: what is your motivation to help others? What motivates you? What is that thing that gets you out of bed, knowing that you are going to help someone during the day? What is that motivation factor? Rihanna, you're smiling.
I was waiting for Sharon. For me, what motivates me is I believe I have potential. I believe I was created for something that is uniquely mine. I really believe that in my core. I know I am called for something, and so every morning I wake up, I am grateful and I'm thankful for the day, and I ask that the day be fulfilled according to what my purpose is here on earth. And so for me, most of my work involves other women, other people, other women in business, helping and pushing. A lot of my motivation is to see my family members and the people around me excel. And in order to do that, I need to make a lot of money to help a lot of people. And so for me, that's why I do so many types of businesses, all kinds of things, just because I know that in order for me to have a very big impact to help others, I need to have certain amount of money to fulfill those things. And so for those are the things that push me every day, wake me up and push me to do what I do, just so that I can help more people.
Thank you, Rihanna. And do you want to wrap up it by concluding? Tell us who you are, where we can find you.
So you can find me on social media. If you want to connect with me business-wise, our platform is Stimbach Corporation, Stimbach Corp, and that's on Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram. The other, for me, on a personal level, if you just wanted to chat and hang out and talk to me one-on-one, the best platform to find me on is my Embracing the Plus Size Me platform. I'm very active on there. I make a lot of posts, and just send me a DM and we can connect. Those are the best platforms you can find me on.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Rihanna. Sharon?
My motivation, I love comfort. I love all nice things. For a long time, I didn't take walks. Like when I arrived in Canada, people would be walking over lunch. I would tell them I'll drive to everywhere, because I grew up in a home where we didn't even have a bicycle. So I'm unapologetic about that. I love all fine things. And I desire that for everyone. And I know that it's possible. So it is the possibility that gets me out of bed. And when I travel and I talk to young people, I was raised by a grandmother who was widowed when I was 12. And I skipped a couple of grades, including the equivalent of grade 11 and 12 here in Canada, because there was no one to sign off. No one wanted to take the responsibility to pay my tuition. So no one signed off for me to move to A level. So I had to stop there and find my way into college. So I skipped a couple of grades because there was no money. So I know the difference, for example, that education makes in the life, particularly of young girls. And when I experience the good side of life, it's always a reminder that this should not be a unique story, but it should be the natural pathway for every girl who desires it and works hard for it. So for me, it's the possibility. And why I do the work that I do, I recognize that there are dreams at stake. When I was younger, I wanted to be a flight attendant. And I remember vividly when I shared that with a friend, she said, "You? No, not you. You never will be." And yes, sadly, I did not become a flight attendant, but I fly for a living. So I'm excited about that, and it's possible. And as a global village, we can bring that dream to life for girls so that it is not an outlier, just a Sharon's story. This should be the story of any girl, regardless of where she is born and raised, who raises her, whether it's her grandmother, a single mother here in Toronto, or a mother and father in whatever religion that they choose for themselves in Rwanda or Cambodia. So that is my motivation.
Thank you. And that has been the fourth strategy that you have given us, right? Through your motivation. Thank you, Sharon. Thank you, Sharon. Thank you, Rihanna. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being honest and vulnerable. I am going to hand this over to Maria.
Wow, wow, wow. This has been very special and personal at another level. And just taking it all in. It's like you've been there from inception to where we are today. Because through your voices, I heard you talk about rising up. I heard about the voices of the girl child, the girl children in you. Dreams never deferred, but instead, young girls who became what they wanted to be because they believed. I heard where you repeated again that the voice matters. Our voices matter. I heard you humanize the woman. She's human. She is, after all, born equal. But whatever life throws at her, the inequality, the injustice, she still has to embrace that and live above the call. I heard you speaking to bringing the male into the conversation, reminding us of how he did it, which we covered. I heard you give the messages of hope, which on day 5, I chose loosely to define it as the audacity of hope beyond hope. Because when we are faced with the reality of GBV, you reminded us that yes, we have come this far. But once again, we should remain hopeful because there is hope. There is light at the end of the tunnel. But alas, for how long? You called us to action that it has to be now, not tomorrow. We were reminded that yesteryear's pain does not define us. You embrace that pain gracefully and you become the best that you're supposed to be. We were brought into the conversation where we said we are no longer victims, but we are victors. That it is the same resilience that birth is the women that we are today, the women that our daughters, my nieces will become tomorrow. Like I said, what we are doing this work collectively as women, it's not for us, but it is for my nieces, Liseli, Kiana, Izika, Zanele, and many more. It is for them. That is the tomorrow that you and I and other women are fighting for, so that these little girls' dreams will not be deferred. But we want to ingrain the hope, because we know hope births optimism, a new consciousness, where we will embrace grassroots, where we will go into the communities and raise awareness using a different approach, where we embrace each other's environments, because it doesn't matter what creed, religion, culture, nationality you belong to. But when we come together as a collective voice and cease existing as silos, then we are hope. We were told that you can face the storm, but you will soar like an eagle above the storms. You will bloom and become the best that you are, whether you're a plus size, because in you, you are beautiful. Because beauty is not what is just out here. It is what is embedded within you, your soul, inside. That is true beauty of a woman. No more pressure to be what others perceive you or their perception of who you should be. We were called and to action. So phenomenal women, I leave you with this. You are hope. You are light. It doesn't matter where you come from. It doesn't matter which part of the globe you come from. Your voice matters. It's time to amplify our voices beyond the mountains and across the seas and the oceans. You are light. It's time to ignite that light. The time is now. It's not tomorrow. It's now. If not you to set the tone, then who? You are hope. It's our responsibility collectively to give hope to one girl, one woman at a time. So Blair, I give this to you.
Thank you, Maria. What can I say after that? She is so eloquent. Thank you so much. I personally want to thank every single one of you joining us via Facebook and also here on Zoom. Your presence makes the difference. Also want to thank Charmin, the natural moderator. Who said you couldn't do this? Thank you. You did an awesome job. Rahana, wow, I'm seeing you in such a different light. You're so quiet, but you're so powerful. Thank you so much for taking the time to be with us. And Sharon, thank you so much. I will be connecting with you for sure. Tomorrow, day 10. Oh my gosh, we're almost there. We have a beautiful lineup. And you can see it on the screen. Eagles Empowered to Soar. It will be your day to take the stage. We welcome you tomorrow. The day will be moderated by Shelley Jarrett, and Shelley has been with us throughout the week. And she's a powerhouse as well. Millie, Tiffany, Lou, I'm not even going to say that name. Hashaka, Odessa, Trish, Denicia, we are looking forward to you tomorrow. You're going to tell us a little bit more about resilience, and you're going to add a little bit to that by telling us that we have to ignite ourselves. How will we do that? We will take you on a journey of self-discovery tomorrow. So we hope to see you there. But for now, we want to say thank you for joining us today and have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye now.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.